Hey there guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about English topic number 11, which is consistent verb tense usage. So I personally think that this is one of the easier grammar topics on the SHSAT, but I do think that this video is helpful just because it'll, clarify and clear up anything that you might have, like any misconceptions that you might have had before this. So before beginning, I just want to, again, talk about some key tips. So my first key tip is if the time period in which the action occurs doesn't change, the tense shouldn't change either. And I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? If we're talking about an event that occurred in the past, we shouldn't start talking about something in the future, in the present, right? We are situated in the past. We should not be bringing in the other time periods. And then my other key tip for you guys is that changes in tense need a time marker. So if we are talking about something in the past and then we are changing to the future or to the present, then we need to say today or now, right? If we are talking about something in the past, we can say 3 years ago, right? We are basically clearly setting a time period. We are realigning, we are like changing what we are talking about. And this comes to us naturally, right? In normal speech, this is what we do. But for this test, you just need to be aware of the things that, you need to be doing to change the tense. So let's just get into some practice problems. So my first practice problem is this one. Okay. Devin spent several hours preparing for an upcoming audition for a play at the community theater. First, he did vocal exercises to practice his diction and projection so that his words would carry clearly throughout the large auditorium. Then he studies the text of the monologue to better understand the emotions and motivations of the character he plans to portray. Finally, he recited his monologue in front of the mirror many times, making slight adjustments and improvements to his performance each time. Okay, so let's just look at what tense we're in, right? What time period are we in? Well, spent, right? We can look at the verbs to figure this out. It says spent. And then we see here did, right? So we understand that this is in the past tense. We are looking at something that happened in the past, right? So if we are trying to preserve our tense, right, and time period, studies just doesn't make sense here. We're talking about the past, right? This is in the past. And then let's see, this is he plans, but this makes sense here, right? Because we he studied the text in order to better understand the emotions, right? Like they're setting up a precedent. They're saying that we will portray. He's planning on portraying this. This doesn't go against the fact that this is in the past tense, but right, by saying spent and did, and we're basically saying that all these actions occurred in the past, saying studies just doesn't make sense here, right? Because then we go back to recited past tense, right? So it is clear that this verb right here does not make sense. And so that's why the answer will be G, which is change studies to studied and delete the comma after emotions. So that is also true, but that's just not what we are focusing on in this video. But I just want to quickly draw attention to how these questions are formatted. So you see here that the answer choices have and under both of them. And the reason they do this is that there are basically two changes that you make in each sentence. And what that is supposed to do is it basically gives you like two different things that you're checking. You're checking your tense agreement and you're looking at your comma placement, right? This is all about commas. And so what this means is that they're basically, like, if you don't know about tense, but you do know about commas, then just by like looking at the comma placement, you can, eliminate the answers down to one right one. And vice versa, if you only know about, tenses, but you don't really know about commas, you can, limit it down and get the right answer without knowing anything about the commas. So they're kind of helping you out here by giving you two different parts, which are each looking at a different thing. Okay, so now let's look at the other question. Okay. When coal was used to heat homes, it frequently left a soot stain on the walls. Brothers Cleo and Noah McVicker, who owned a cleaning product company, created a doughy substance to help people remove the soot. Over time, as natural gas becomes more common, people had little need for soot cleansers, and the McVickers family company struggled to stay in business. Then one day, Joe McVicker, Cleo's son, learned that his sister-in-law had been using the substance for art projects in her classroom, so he remarketed the product as the toy known today as Play-Doh. Okay, so here they're telling you inappropriate shift in verb tense. So let's look at what time period this is in. Well, we see again was, right? Left, owned, right? So we understand that this is looking at something in the past. But suddenly, right? Created, right? But then we see here becomes, right? Becomes doesn't make sense, right? We're talking about something in the past tense, not about something in the present, right? So stating becomes here just doesn't make sense, right? Especially since afterwards we go back to the past tense with had, right? Struggled, right? So we can't just do that. We didn't clearly, we didn't move on to a different subject. This text talks about the present for one verb and then goes back to the past. So that is not an appropriate shift in verb tense, right? So because of that, let's look at what sentence that is. That is sentence number 3, right? Which is why the answer is G. Okay, so I hope this video is helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and just keep watching. We'll be back next week with more videos.